Good afternoon, everybody. I'll try to stick to the 10 minutes. It won't be easy, but I'll try my best. My name is Paul Lloyd. I'm the Managing Director of Hawkstone Mining. We're an Australian listed company, and I have been the Managing Director for just over 12 months now, and I'm the vendor of the project. We have two lithium projects, one in Arizona and another one in New Mexico. But our main project is the Big Sandy project in Arizona. It's equally distant between Vegas and Phoenix, and obviously a lot of brokers from Australia like to come and visit the site, given that it's only 2.5 hours drive from Vegas, and we get them back to Vegas on the Friday, and then what happens after that, it's their business. So plenty of interest in the project, and what we've done is we have vended the project into the company and received 250 million shares, and there's now 815 million shares on issue. We have a very small market cap in Australian terms of just over $8 million, but we are advancing the project, and it looks very exciting at this stage. We have Bureau of Land Management, so federal claims, 311 claims, covering an area of 25.5 square kilometres. So quite a large area, and the project's in a very exciting area of the lithium space, in that it's in the sedimentary space. So there is no production from sedimentaries at the moment, mainly from obviously brine, which is about 46% of the market, and the spodumene producers. I'm from Western Australia, and there's a lot of spodumene producers in Western Australia, and that's 54% of the market. But there are a number of projects on the west coast of this great country that are looking to go into production from sedimentary because of the certain advantages, which I'll go through later. But if you look at that map there to the north, you see a project called Thacker Pass, which is owned by Lithium Americas, and that project is far more advanced than my Big Sandy project down in Arizona, just the other side of the Colorado River, but it does have geological similarities to the Big Sandy project. So I was lucky enough to pick up as an advisor the person that did the PFS on the Thacker Pass project, and that's Dr. David Deek. And he has a PhD from Oxford, and he worked at Tesla in charge of battery development for a number of years. So he's invaluable on the processing side. So where we're at with this Big Sandy project is we just released a maiden resource of 32.5 million tonnes at an average grade of 1,850 parts per million, which is a significant amount of lithium when you look at it from an LCE point of view, 320,000 tonnes of LCE. And I'm not sure if you're familiar, but LCE has a value of about $10,000 per tonne at the moment. So in-ground value from a very small drilling program of only 4% of the land holding, we've proven up a substantial value of lithium. And so as the original vendor of the project 4 years ago, when I staked the ground on a hunch from an old geologist friend of mine in Tucson, I've come a long way in just 4 years. So it's been an exciting ride. So having a lot of fun exploring this project. So as I said before, we've only been at this for 14 months, and we've only explored 4% of the land holding. So this has the potential to be a top 10 resource of lithium in the world, basically. I don't know if any other companies have talked about the supply of lithium in the US. There's very little, if any, production in the US, a little bit out of the Clayton Valley, and there's a lot of push internally to produce lithium in the United States, mainly on the west coast, but then there's the company called Piedmont that are looking to produce on the east coast. So just moving quickly through, that's the resource details that we just announced last month. There is a high-grade zone in that resource. If you look to the bottom, table 2, you've got 12.7 million tonnes grading at 2,360 parts per million, and that's got a 2,000 cut-off grade. So a high-grade zone, which would be the area that you would mine initially. So this next slide gives you an indication of our land holding. It's quite substantial along there, and the location of the project is very important to the infrastructure. It abuts the I-93, and so access in and out of the project is very easy. a little bit spoiled in regards to infrastructure on this project. Just moving quickly through in regards to the team that I've built. I'm trying to build a team of US people that have experience in lithium, but the lithium industry is fairly embryonic, and I've managed to get Dr. David Deek on board, and he's an advisor at the moment looking to join the board in the next few months. Another pickup is Doug Pitts, and he is an engineer, worked at Bechtel, and he is based in Phoenix, so he's doing a lot of work in Arizona permitting. So just quickly in regards to the drilling, we drilled a very small area, 4% of the land holding, and before we started drilling this project, we thought we'd find like 15 metres of mineralisation. We ended up with about 50 metres of mineralisation, so that was very exciting to finally drill the project and be pleasantly surprised. If you look at that chart there, we haven't drilled to the north, the west or the south. So we know that it's mineralised open in those directions, not open on the east, but we will prove up a substantial resource. There's a quote from David Deek. You can have a look at that on the website. So I'll just keep moving through. Picture of myself. Gives you an idea of the landscape out there. It's the edge of the desert, equally distant between Phoenix and Vegas, and so fairly average sort of ground, very few population, if any, and hot as hell, of course, because it's the desert. We have got an exploration target on this project, so that compares with our peers in the market, and that's 280 million tonnes to 492 million tonnes. Just to give you some idea of these type of projects, you'll be moving about 3 million tonnes per year. So you're talking about a long mine life. But we're very positive on the EV revolution, and we think that lithium will be more valuable than it is today, and there'll be a massive market for lithium in a very short period of time. Give us some idea of the mining process we're talking about here. This is the cross-section of the northernmost holes that we drilled, and there's a little bit of colluvium, so a little bit of transporter cover you would move away, and then you'd be mining straight into ore. So strip ratio would basically be 0. You'd just be mining ore because these type of deposits are large, they have low grade, but they are very large and continuous. So the exploration risk has effectively been eliminated by a very small drilling program, and the mining costs would be very insignificant, like $2 a tonne. There's another quote from our chairman, but I'll let you read that in your own time. The infrastructure in this area. We're only about 60 miles away from Route 66, which is now I-40. It has the Santa Fe rail line running through there, and gas pipelines and a workforce in the town of Kingman. You can see in the middle of that map, you can see the Big Sandy project. We're near a little town called Wickiup, which is a whole 30 people in the desert, and so we have all the required infrastructure to put this project into production very quickly. We're getting a lot of interest from Arizona organisations to assist us with funding and permitting of this project. So the news flow going forward, after I've announced the resource last month, is to strengthen up the board and get some US residents onto the board. We are an Australian listed company, but our assets are in the US, so we need some assistance from US technical people. I'm doing a roadshow around the US, and I want to appoint some engineers in the near future to build a pilot plant. The pilot plant will be built in Germany, and the process to design a flow sheet is sulfuric acid leach. And we're not talking about bulk leaching, we're talking about vat leaching, so there's no environmental issues. And we will have that plant done in 6 months, and that will show that we can produce from the lithium sedimentary material, we can produce battery grade lithium. So that will be very exciting. And just quickly, the reason for sedimentary rather than brine or hard rock, it's open pittable, you don't have to crush the ore. There's large scale operations and a very low strip ratio. I think I've done my 10 minutes. Thanks very much.